Let's be clear about this. Laura could really be a jerk sometimes. Sam leaned over the podium, locking eyes with the front row of mourners. She rested one elbow on the officiant's script, looking for all the world like she was ordering a glass of craft ale at her favorite spot in Brooklyn. Oh no, it's the ex-wife, some of you are probably thinking. How'd she end up there? She let out a soft laugh. The officiant suddenly stiffened, her posture turning sharp and twitchy, her eyes darting from Sam's forearms, inked with anchors and roses to the family seated up front. Look, we all know how it turned out, for everyone, Sam went on. So when Tom and Claire asked me to speak a few words at the funeral, I figured, no point in pretending it didn't happen, right? Claire gave a small, steady nod, and the officiant's shoulders eased. She'd been gone a long while before she left, Sam said. Something shifted in the woman I married. But today, I want to think back to the Laura I first grabbed coffee with 10 years ago. Summer solstice, the 15th year of the 2000th century. We bonded over punk rock, unsolved mysteries, and the total clown of a boss we both worked for. I was fixing up the yard, she was staging the house. She laughed at my quips about overgrown shrubs. I saw she caught the depth beneath the humor. One thing flowed into another, and there you go. We shacked up together. You all knew Laura for her imagination, but seeing it firsthand was something else. She could whip up these flawless little models from just a handful of snapshots people sent her, every detail spot on, like she had a geometry genius guiding her hand. Sam brushed her fingers against her necklace, a tiny replica of the anchor bar, its red velvet drapes peeking through the miniature window, a cherished spot from their early days. She never lost herself. There I was, chasing paychecks, landscaping for the rock star next door, and there she was, day gig, online shop, posts, classes, all of it, and still loving me to pieces. She knew this city better than the street cats. A night wanderer, a hard worker, a true creator. She made small things but dreamed huge. She never turned into the version of herself she pictured. But she was already everything I could have asked for. Sam's voice cracked. "Where'd you go, Laura?" Laura squinted at the figure staring back from the full-length mirror. She was in her mid-30s, but faint creases lined her forehead whenever she scowled, which was fairly often, and thin red veins webbed across her cheeks from too many late nights at the anchor. She'd patched together a patchwork living studying and crafting intricate miniatures, but she couldn't overlook the subtle, growing signs of time on her own face. Hair still a fiery auburn, but less lively than before. After a long night, her eyes carried shadows of dusty lilac. And more tiny shifts, day by day. She pressed at the dark circles under her eyes. Thank goodness for editing apps. If my online following took off, she mused, maybe I wouldn't need the late shifts. What if I only had one job to juggle, not 5? As that idea elbowed its way forward, the reflection in the mirror blurred. She reached out to steady herself against its surface, and her hand slipped right through. It vanished into the glass. She yanked it back, heart racing, half expecting it to come out mangled, missing, or shriveled. But there it was, unchanged from when it went in. The other side hadn't felt any different. Warily, she edged closer to the mirror. She thought of her afternoon plans, starting with yet another Statue of Liberty order from her online store. She took a deep breath and leaped, nimble as a fox, through the mirror's frame. On the other side, she landed behind a thick lavender bush, gazing out at a vivid green stretch. A wide lawn rolled out to one side, and to the other stood a house of sleek glass, framed by wispy clouds and a brilliant blue sky. It was the kind of place Laura had only seen on TV shows, where families somehow scraped together an extra $100,000 at the last second to finish their dream build. Beyond the bush, Laura spotted someone in the driveway, standing by an open trunk, seemingly recording a video. Laura's height, Laura's frame, hair a fiery auburn. "Okay, folks," other Laura said, holding up her phone to her audience. It's Saturday treasure hunt, so let's check out what the Vermont flea markets had in store today. I snagged so many things you all warned me to skip. Laura winced. It was like hearing her own voice played back. Except this wasn't a recording. It was real, unfolding in this world beyond the mirror. A wild thrill mixed with dread surged in her chest, but she bit it back. This wasn't the time to lose herself. She'd always lived in her mind, drifting through imagined realms, what-ifs, possibilities, daydreams. They'd amused her, frightened her, shielded her, inspired her. But now she was here, actually inside one. Questions swirled, begging for answers. "Hey!" she shouted, bursting from the bush and charging toward Rich Laura, RL. No reaction. "Hey!" she yelled louder. "Laura!" Nothing. RL kept filming, oblivious. Laura banged on the car. RL didn't flinch. She tried scratching a note with her key, but it left no mark. "Damn it," Laura muttered, her hopes of quizzing other her on the secret to her success dissolving. As RL wrapped up her treasure hunt video, Laura stepped cautiously toward the house. It was summer. The back door stood ajar. She slipped inside. It was everything she'd ever longed for. A jacuzzi nestled under the oaks, her own workspace stocked with cutting-edge tools, adjustable wall screens to match any vibe, hidden nooks, and a sprawling attic with skylights framing an endless horizon, filled wall-to-wall with a model village of places that lived in her soul. She lifted a delicate replica of the Liberty Theater, small enough to cradle in her hand, its interior as perfect as its facade. "This is the finest thing I've ever made," she thought. In her world, it was beneath its ornate arches and grand marquee that Sam had first said she damn well loved her. Sam. She'd only thought of moving forward when she crossed over, not back. Maybe, like a storybook heroine, she'd wake up, but this felt as solid as life itself. She had to get home. Her pace quickened as she bolted out the back door, eyes scanning the yard, breath hitching. Nothing. No way back. She was trapped. She paced, her breathing shallow and fast, then a flicker, faint but real. She sprinted, diving into the shimmer, and landed back in her bedroom. She glanced back. The mirror's surface gleamed, reflecting her unchanged room with crisp clarity. She checked her phone. 30 minutes, the exact same time, had passed here as there. Sam pushed open the bedroom door, one eyebrow arched. "I heard something. Honey, I've been looking for you. Where'd you go?" "I went," she hesitated, deciding in a heartbeat. "I went for a stroll." She'd tell her the truth once she knew how. The mirror didn't just open to that one world, or that one Laura. Day after day of testing showed her that a single wish, a fleeting desire, could unfurl a whole new reality. She'd picture a place, a moment, a life she'd never lived but could have, and it would appear ready for her. She learned to shape her thoughts, to paint them with vivid hues and details, and the mirror seemed to listen. She went back, again and again, to Laura's who lived her wildest dreams. One ran a lounge in Thailand, a magnetic night owl serving glowing drinks to revelers. One raced bikes in the Rockies, her legs a whirlwind of power, undefeated, unyielding. One chased stories in war zones, tirelessly lifting voices from the ruins. One shook up the Chicago art scene, a storm of color and bold ideas. Laura roamed city streets and basked in vast wildernesses. Time ticked the same in every world. No jumping ahead or back, minutes matching her own. So she got an old-school watch, a tether to pull her back when she needed. "Hurry up, please, it's time." Just 30 minutes in the mirror, stretched to just until this chat ends, then just until noon, then just until Sam notices. Orders started slipping. When Sam asked about her day, Laura's head buzzed with stories, but her words fell flat. Their talks went from deep and tender to vague and dull. "Same as always," she'd say. With Sam out working jobs and her freelancing, the secret stayed safe. But the more worlds she saw, the more they piled up, pushing her further from Sam, making the idea of confessing, if she ever could, feel impossibly distant. She'd been crossing worlds for 2 years, when one night, lying in bed, she traced the vines tattooed on Sam's forearms with her fingertip. In their 8 years, the ink had softened. "Ever think about touching these up?" she asked, absently. Sam rolled over, pinning Laura's eyes with that steady, knowing look only she had. "I know something's up, you realize." Laura's gut lurched. A misstep. She'd never been found out. She thought she'd kept it locked tight. "You've barely had supplies coming in. Mia said she hasn't seen you at the studio lately. What's going on?" Laura felt the ache of those lost early days, the truths she'd buried, the words that could have spared her this moment, when she knew she'd lie. "I'm just burned out," she said, avoiding Sam's gaze. "I'm sorry. I should have told you. I want to chase what lights me up, as an artist." It wasn't that Sam wouldn't buy it. It was something softer, surer. Sam would have told her to quit. And she couldn't quit. Sam pulled her in close. "Do what you need to, babe. I've got us." The first time she stayed overnight, she told Sam she was headed to Boston for a workshop. She'd started picking favorite Lauras to follow, lives she tuned into with more care than her own. War reporter Laura, WR, was a standout. WR had sharp eyes, creases at their edges like a map of every horror she'd faced head-on. She was at her peak. Laura watched her speak to the camera as explosions lit the sky behind her. She saw her draw out raw truths from people, on air and off, deftly cutting through lies. She blended skill with heart in a handful of words. WR had been nominated for a journalism award. The night Laura was in Boston, she stood near the stage, eyes shining, listening to the WR's speech for her fearless coverage of her world's Syrian uprising. Maybe she could linger a bit, bask in the glow of others' praise, hear firsthand the celebration of a life's work. 2 in the morning, staring into the mirror, already hazy. Once, 2 in the morning had been her sweet spot. The quiet, a whisper of promise. A week had passed. Sam had called the cops, naturally. She'd been questioned, too tired to craft a story. "No comment," she said, like the culprits on crime podcasts. Her inbox roared with furious messages about missed deadlines and undelivered orders. She felt the next day looming. A void. She didn't even know what waited beyond this time, but she breathed deep and stepped in. After the award, WR had gone to Chad, piercing through walls of silence to cover a conflict no one else noticed. Laura was watching her interview displaced families when the air snapped. A gunman on a bike, there and gone before anyone could react. Bullets sprayed into the crowd, hitting reporters and refugees alike. Laura gasped, clutching her stomach. It felt empty. Sometimes she knew you didn't feel the worst wounds. She tested her neck, her arms, bent awkwardly. "Am I gone?" Not yet. Most scattered. Survivors and injured stumbled, lost. Laura's yells went unheard. Shouting for people to move, she had to see, there on the ground. WR had a helmet, a vest, but her neck, a bullet in her neck. Blood pooled around her. Laura watched the light fade from her own eyes. She saw her face slacken. Amid the chaos, she might have been the only one who noticed. A visceral wrongness yanked at her, nearly hauling her back to the mirror's blur. This couldn't be real. She couldn't be here dead and breathing. She was pulled back, arms outstretched, aching to hold the woman she'd followed for hours. Loved like herself. More than herself. She screamed as the blur swallowed her. Thrown back, she landed in her bedroom. She willed WR into her mind, but the mirror stayed stubbornly clear. She stared at her hands, small, unmarked, safe hands that never dared, that only shaped small things. Laura couldn't tell Sam about her sorrow, or why she wouldn't seek help. "Yeah, if you don't open up, we've got no shot," Sam had said. "This has dragged on too long. I can't figure it out, Laura." Laura stared at the floor. When Sam told her to leave, it wasn't losing her that broke Laura. It was the thought of losing the mirror. She'd been so caught up in the next world she hadn't imagined being cut off. Could she take it with her? The idea hit, then she laughed it off. It was a full-length mirror, after all. She'd have to find a better life, always on the outside. So, with only a vague notion in her head, Laura stepped into the mirror, no plan to return. She'd settled into the attic of miniatures at rich Laura's glass estate, letting its comfort wrap around her. Avoiding both RL and her Sam, Laura lingered in the tiny world beneath a vast sky. The Strand Theater, the Greenway Park, the Sunrise Bakery, detailed, flawless, perfect. She hadn't visited their real versions in years. It took months before she ventured beyond the attic. She followed the hum of life from the kitchen. Anniversary day. Theirs, not hers. RL was cooking dumplings with flavors she knew Sam adored, clearly aiming for a well, damn reaction. She watched herself sit, tossing out silly dish names, rattling off puns, a groan for beef bonanza, a grin for prawn starsiomai. I can do that, she thought. I can be her too. Laura had left the kitchen light on, hoping Sam would spot her when she returned. Sam stepped in from the dusk. Behind the glass door, she paused, studying Laura as if searching for a flicker of the woman she once knew. Her face shifted, unreadable, and Laura couldn't pin it down. Sam didn't budge. Laura stood slowly, opened the door, and there they were, face to face in their tiny kitchen, in their tiny home, in their world. She barely got out a hi before. I just gave your damn eulogy. Time froze. Their eyes locked. And in that instant, when Laura's ice gray and Sam's deep brown eyes met, seeing only each other, they laughed. Laura's throat ached, words clawing their way out. I hope it was decent. I called you a jerk. Seems about right. And you don't even have the decency to be dead. Sam's smile was tired but real. But I have been, Sam, she said. I really have. And that's when Laura crumbled. She broke, like the mirror upstairs, now shattered across the bedroom floor. She sobbed. Sam drew her in, arms encircling Laura, the only Laura she knew.